So our real-life situation is, a lion is the enemy of a zebra.
Our knowledge issue is, to what extent do animals use sense perception to identify their enemies?
It is crucial for animals to know how not to become dinner. Animals avoid becoming dinner by knowing who their enemies are. Animals can identify their enemies even if they have never encountered them before. Animals can respond to general cues of the presence of an enemy, such as sudden movement or the presence of a looming object. They are also able to recognize species-specific cues, such as scent or appearance, which allows them to distinguish between enemies and non-enemies. The more cues there are, the easier it is for the animal to sense the presence of an enemy. For an animal, there are specific senses that they use to indicate an enemy's presence and identity. The most common senses that animals use are sight, hearing, and smell. So sight. As mentioned before, animals respond to sudden movement. Other visual cues, including an animal's size and behavior, can provide specific information about the identity and intention of a potential enemy. For example, an enemy that is feeding would pose less of a threat than an enemy that is approaching and looking directly at its prey. However, sometimes visual cues aren't really that visual. This could be because it is in the middle of the night or because it's a cryptic enemy. In these situations, prey may rely on other cues of enemies' presence, such as smell or noises.
Another way of knowing would be emotion. Every animal has a built-in characteristic called instinct. This instinct is a collection of experiences that a particular animal species has encountered in the struggle for survival throughout millions of years. Animals have the ability to instinctively identify their enemies on sight without the enemy openly showing that it is in fact an enemy. In other words, there aren't any cues of the presence of the enemy, but by using instinct, the animal is able to identify the enemy. Animals sometimes seem to be aware of events before they happen. This may be because, unlike humans, their minds are not limited to linear time, or it may be because they are so sensitive they are able to pick up early warning signals of danger on their automatic reader, which humans cannot. Our knowledge issue was, to what extent do animals use sense perception to identify their enemies? Based on this research, we can conclude that animals do in fact rely a lot on their senses to identify their enemies, but they equally rely on their instinct or intuition.